I used a technology called Video, which allows me to talk about BBFC. So just show you how I did it. This keeps the audience engaged, and the use of music doesn't make it boring for them. I use lots of like all types of sort of backgrounds to keep the audience interested. And I use effects for the font to come onto the screen, so it doesn't make it boring, and it makes it more appealing to my audience. So this was my research based on BBFC. So we used SurveyMonkey. So we create survey, and then we can give it a name. So horror research, and then we were able to just pick a category and then go. So this allowed us to do a multiple choice option, drop down option, matrix option, ranking, single text box, comment box, all sorts of ways to get answers from people. We used SurveyMonkey, where we asked our audience a few questions based on horror films. So here you can see we asked them where do they like it to be set, and like the data we've got here helped us when we were creating our own script, and it gave us ideas. So as you can see, like the specific elements they liked was sound. Henceforth, we used a lot of sound throughout the whole film to fulfill our audience's needs. We also asked what genres they're into. So you can see psycho horror was like the most, and then we had zombie horror, and then we had action horror and all of that. So our film was based on psycho horror due to the data. To import our meetings, so we used a dictaphone to do this, and then we imported it into SoundCloud, and then we just had a meeting about who's going to do what and by which specific dates, and you can hear a bit of it.
Okay, I'm going to be doing an observation by 15.
And then we all took turns to talk over each other.
15, or above 15, above 12, yeah.
So I used storyboard that to make my storyboard. At the time, I was going to film scene 3 and 4 and part of scene 7, because me and my group, we took turns to film. So as you can see, I used pictures and I used font. So this was the scene where they were on the home together, and then this was the bus stop scene, and then we had the classroom scene here, and then we had the next scene, and then the shed scene. This was an effective tool for me to use because I was able to use pictures that matched my script, as well as I was able to explain with the little text box here. As part of my planning stages, I used Logo Maker to create a logo, which is TFM, which stands for me and my group's initials. We used blood to create because our theme was red, so it represented that. So there was a splat of the red, and we used a white background, and we did the TFM in black, so it had a huge contrast between these two. This is a Canon 7D, which is what we use to film. This button here is the flash button, as you can see from the symbol. The button here, the AF and the MF, means the lens autofocus manual focus button. So we were able to have automatic focus by doing the AF, and the MF was manual focus. And then we also had the stabilizer button here at the bottom, which was image stabilizer button. So it was for the IS lens only, so we didn't use this. It's just here. This was the lens release button, which we used to release our lens. You can see we have the hot shoe up here, which is this little silver bit, and then we've got the LCD panel, which allows us to see what sort of settings we're on. And then we have the shooting mode and dial just here. And then we've got the on and off button, which is just these two. Over here we have the metering mode white balance button, which is just this one here. And then we have the AF drive button here. And then we have the ISO flash compensation button here. And then we've got the main dial here. And then the MFN button here, and the shutter button is just here. Okay, so we also used this boom over here, which allowed us to get our sounds. However, we did face a dilemma where we discovered that the mic had, the beam had broken, so we were not able to get any sound with that. So we had to go to a studio to do this. So we went to a studio just like this, and we dubbed over the sounds into our film. So a teacher was here to help us, and we had a mic, and this allowed us to put in sounds into the computer like this, and then we could hear it out loud on the speakers like that, and then dub the sounds in. As part of my post-production and editing stages, I use Final Cut Pro. So here I've just imported the scene, and from here I can trim. So it allows me to trim scenes, as you can see. And it also allows me to blade, which means I cut the scenes into separate sections like this. And then I was also able to zoom, so I can zoom into each scene and get every aspect of the scene. So it was cut into longer scenes, and then I was able to use this to move my thingy around. So you can see it's moved this way. You can move it towards here, like here, and then I can get another scene and add it here. And I also then used, oops, let me bring that back. I was able to also use slow motion and fast pace. So here I can get it like this, and if I play it, you can see how slow it goes up here. You can see. So just play. Oops. So the slow is here. So I was able to use the position tool here to move my scenes around and play with them. So for example, if I was to get this here, I would be able to blade this scene. So if it was too long, like that, and then I could position it, so I can move this here, and then maybe put this here, and play around with it to make the film. I also used, so for this scene, for example, I used a slow motion, so by 10%, it would be very slow. So if I just show you how it looks up here, you can see it's very slow motion. And if I try to make it a bit more faster, so maybe a bit faster here, so let's go by 50%. You can see it's still slow, but it's not as slow as it was up here. And then I was able to add my credits, which is here. So for example, onto this, so drag it here, and then I would just double tap, and I would be able to put in the characters' names, and then so on. So we use the dictaphone for our question 1 to voice record ourselves, and then so where we spoke about how we challenge conventions and we adhere to it. As part of my evaluation on question 2, we used Movely, which allows us to put in text like these with pictures. We were able to add images and turn that into a background by enlarging the pictures. We were able to add font, so we could type in here. So undo any changes we've made. We could zoom in and out, and here we were able to add pictures like this. So we filmed ourselves like an interview sort of way for question 3, where we got an interviewee to interview each of us and ask us a few things about our poster, our film, and our trailer. And then from there, we were able to import this into Final Cut Pro, like here. And then we were able to just cut some scenes out and create it into like an interview-based video. So for my question 4, I used QuickTime Player, which is this here. Once I clicked this, I was able to do new screen recording, and then from here I was able to pick how much of the screen I wanted to show. So for example, here I've just like specifically chosen this much of my screen, and so I could show people what I was actually doing on the Mac, how I made use of it, and they could actually see it from my point of view.